Hello everybody, welcome to the walkthrough and tutorial for this super cute Thanksgiving fall type of mini album slash folio. It's kind of a hybrid. I'm really excited to bring you guys this today. I used a lot of beautiful products from La Land Crafts to create this album, and I will go through it with you from start to finish, including the decorating process and everything. We're going to have some fun inking things and just, it's going to be super, super fun. So it is a 6.5 by 6.5 inch album with a 1.5 inch spine. Really, really beautiful. I use these gorgeous papers from the Grateful paper pack from La Land Crafts. It's a 6 by 6 paper pack. It's really, really beautiful. It has very pretty papers in it. I absolutely loved it. So on the front here, I've used some beautiful leaf dies and banner dies from La Land Crafts, and these will all be linked below the video. And then I used the brand new Give Thanks stamp set, and the other other little friend that's in the stamp set will be in the album, but it's super cute. These are actually like add-on stamps, so you can make it so that he's holding things, and I'll show you guys how to do that in the tutorial. So let's open it up. It has a seam binding closure. So it opens just like this. And then on this side here, we have a pocket, and I'll show you guys how to create that cool effect on the pockets. And then here we have a adorable pumpkin, and we're going to ink this together in the tutorial. And then here is a nice pocket as well with an insert. And then it opens like this. And we have a little kind of waterfall with pockets on it, and it has a magnetic closure. We used this die set from La Land Crafts. It's called the Large Banner die set, and we used it in a lot of fun ways. This is also from that die set, and I'll show you guys how to use it throughout the tutorial. So it opens up here, and then it has a pocket. So we use the large tag die for our photo mats. Really, really beautiful. And then it opens like this, and you have space for a photo back here. And then we have another pocket with another tag insert. And then on the back here, we have yet another pocket, and this has a nice 5.25 by 5.25 insert for a large photo. And it closes up like this. And then all the way in the back here, we have a nice dimensional pocket. So it's a 1/4 inch of depth you have there. And inside of that pocket, there is a cute little booklet, and we've used the banner die to create the closure. It has a magnetic closure. So it opens up like this. So you have space for photos, 2 photos in the middle, 2 photos, or sorry, 1 photo on the front, or I guess 2 depending on how you mat it. And you can even put another photo on the back. And it's got like a cute kind of springy, pillowy look. I absolutely love it. So this closes up. And then we have a page in the center here. So here's his little turkey friend. So cute. And then we've used a pocket die here. And then this is another one of the large stitch tags die, one of the smaller ones. So that goes back in the pocket, and then this whole section opens up, and you have space for a nice large photo here and on the back here. And then it also opens like this, so you have space for 2 more photos, and then you can also accordion it out like that. And then we go to the other side of the page, and we have a stacked belly band here. So it has a nice booklet here for photos, and then it has space for 2 3x4 photos there. So that goes under the larger belly band, and then this one goes under the smaller belly band. And then this back section is mirrored to the top, to the front section. So we have, again, our super cute little pumpkin here that we colored with Distress inks. We have our pocket here. Here we have another pocket on the side with a nice large photo mat in there. Then it opens up, and we again have the pockets here with the closure. Super, super beautiful. And then our dimensional pocket here with the booklet inside of it. And then that just goes back in here, and you can fit a ton more. You could even fit like 2 or 3 of these booklets in here, so you can fit a lot in there. And then this closes up, and this closes up, and then that closes up the book. So I really hope you guys enjoy this, and to all my Canadian friends, happy Thanksgiving. We are going to have the links below, so there will be a link below to the La La Land Craft fan page, and then I will have all of the products linked below as well that I used on this book. And then I'll also have a link to my Facebook group, Create with Martha Tucker. We have lots of fun in there, lots of sneak peeks and all that fun stuff. And then there will also be a cutting guide available for this book below, and it'll be linked to my Etsy shop. All right, guys, I hope you have fun with this tutorial, and let's get started. Okay, guys, so let's get started on our tutorial for today. So the first thing you're going to need is to create your album base. I have a really comprehensive, in-depth video on how to create an easy wrap album method, and I will link it below here. So I've already wrapped this one just to save time, but I have a really comprehensive video on how to wrap albums, so that'll be linked below. You can check it out. So for my cover, I have 2 pieces of chipboard that are 6.5 by 6.5, and to wrap those 2 pieces, you'll need 2 pieces of lightweight cardstock that measure 8.5 by 8.5. Okay, in my case I used white. And then for the spine, you're going to need a piece of chipboard that's 1.5 by 6.5, and you're going to need a piece of white cardstock that's 3.5 by 8.5 to wrap your spine. Okay, so check out the video below on how to wrap your album cover. Okay, but we're going to get started with our tutorial for today. So the first thing we're going to do is work on the inside, front, and back cover. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of your cardstock. Now I'm using all 65-pound cardstock for this book. You can use 80-pound, you can use 110-pound, whatever you want. I'm going to use 65-pound cardstock. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece that is 6 3/4 by 12. On the 6 3/4 side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, flip it in your scoreboard and score at 1/2 inch. On the 12-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 and at 1, and then at 7 1/4. Okay, so 1/2, 1, 7 1/4. So what we're going to do first is, from our scoring, it's created this long rectangle here. So there's 2 shorter rectangles and 2 longer rectangles. We are going to cut this entire section out, including these 2 little squares right here. So grab your scissors or whatever you feel comfortable cutting with, and let's cut these out. So this whole section down to here gets cut out, and then when you get here, you can do a little angle up for that pocket, or for that strip there. And then here I'll just do my little angle, and then I'm going to cut it from the other side because it's easier for me to see, or just easier in general to cut on my right hand side. Just like this. Okay, so now your whole piece should look like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take and fold this section back onto itself like this, and burnish that just like this. Okay, then open it up and fold these 2 little flaps in just like this, All right, so now that's gonna fold down and create a pocket. So I'm gonna grab my glue and make sure that it's gonna flow for us. All right, I'm gonna add my glue to these two side sections. So all over them. All right, and then you can just bring it up and burnish it just like this all over. All right, now you can take and fold these two score lines back just like this. All right, so it should look like this, and then you'll have a pocket on top here. So on top of this pocket, we are going to have another pocket. And there's a few little elements that we need for this. So the actual pocket is going to measure 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. And on the 5 3/4 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch, flip it in the scoreboard and score it 1/2 inch. And then on the 4 1/4 side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch. And we can go ahead and cut across our corners. So right where those two score lines intersect, we're going to cut right through there on both sides, just like this. All right, and then we can fold and burnish our score lines. All three of them. All right, and then for the pocket that we're gonna do, we need a piece of pattern paper that measures 3 5/8 by 4 1/2. And what we're gonna do is from the La La Land Crafts large banner die set, I've cut this die, so it comes with this pretty scalloped die for the banners. I've cut it and we're gonna use it a little bit differently. So I just cut it from white cardstock. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach it to our pattern paper with the 4 1/2 side going this way. So we're going to attach it just like this so that the tip of our die goes all the way to the tip of the paper, and then just center it on both sides. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue to attach that. So center it on your paper. And make sure it's all the way to the top. Then what we're going to do is take our scissor, and I'm going to cut all of this off. So I'm going to go right along the die cut. And just cut all that off on both sides. And then we're going to attach it to our pocket, just like this. I'm just going to use my art glitter glue because my beacon is empty. So attach it so that you have an even white border on just 3 sides. So this side, and this side, and the tip of the pocket should still come, the tip of our die cut should still come to the top of the pocket here. Burnish that down. All right, and then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna cut right along the die and even go past the score line, just like this. And then the same thing here. Cut right along the die cut and even past the score line. So that's what your pocket will look like. Super, super cute. So that's going to get attached to the front of this pocket here that we initially created. So we'll add our glue to this. just like this. And attach it nice and neat and straight on top of that pocket. And we can burnish that down just like this. All right, so now we are going to turn our page over. So now our two score lines are on this side. So this is the back of what we just did. So the first thing you're going to need is 2 pieces of your white cardstock or whatever color that you're using that measure 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. And on the 4 3/4 side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. So you need 2 of these. So we can fold and burnish these. Just like this. All right, so now with our little flaps on the left-hand side, like this, we're gonna put pockets onto these. So we have 2 pockets, so 1 for each, and they measure 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. On the 5 1/4 side, you're gonna score it 1/2 inch, flip it in the scoreboard and score it 1/2 inch. And then on the 3 1/2 inch side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch across the bottom. All right, so you're going to have 2 of these pockets. So go ahead and fold and burnish them both. Just like this. Or both of them. All right, and then we can cut our corners across our corners. So right where those 2 score lines intersect. Just like this. All right, so now again, remember your little 1/2 inch sections need to be to the left. So we're gonna glue these right on top of these. So burnish one more time from the top. You can never over burnish. And I'm going to add my glue to these flaps. Just like this. And I'm going to glue it to the top of my pocket here. Just pick it up and adjust it as you need to. Just like this. And then the same thing for the other one. Burnishing from the top just makes it so much easier to glue it on. So add your glue. All over those 3 flaps. And place it on there. Make sure it's nice and even. And burnish. All right, now grab your little page back in. So remember, we're on the back and our score lines are on this side. So these are going to get attached, one along here, and then the other one will go underneath it. So we do not need to miter these because they're kind of like waterfall pocket page thingies. So it's the same height as our page. Give that a good burnish. And then the other one is going to get attached right under this one, right here. Just like this. Just close it down and make sure they line up nicely. That's always an important step. Lost my bone folder for a second. And then you can burnish from the top. And then here in this section, we're going to have another pocket. So the pocket piece measures 6 3/4 by 3.5. And on the 6 3/4 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch, flip it in your scoreboard and score it 1/2 inch. And then on the 3.5 inch side, you're just going to score 1/2 inch across the bottom. So let's go ahead and cut across our pocket corners there and burnish. Just like this. And then you're going to want to dry fit it before you fully attach it. So it's going to go right between this score line and this score line. I'm just going to put glue on the bottom of this one to begin with. Just so I can be extra sure where it needs to go. And then you can try closing that over top of it and closing this on over top of it just to make sure it's where it needs to be. And burnish, and then we can add glue to these sections. Just like this. All right, so now we have 3 cute pockets and they're all lined up. All right, now for the closure for these 2 little waterfall pocket pages, you're gonna need a piece of your white cardstock that's 4.5 by 1, and on the 4.5 side, you're just gonna score at 1/2 inch. And then we can fold and burnish this, just like this. All right, then from that same large banner die set that we got this die from, these 2 are also in there, these 2. I've cut this one out of craft cardstock and this one out of pattern paper from our cute Grateful pattern paper set. So I'm going to glue these 2 together. So these 2 are meant to layer. So I'm just going to use my art glitter glue for that. And it's supposed to go right up there and only really show that little adorable craft border. All right, now I'm going to center this on here. Just like this. I'm going to leave it an even white border on this side, and this side. And again, I'm just going to use my art glitter glue. Just like this. So stinking cute. All right, so now this is going to get glued right here. So this is our long pocket under here. It's going to get glued along our little hinges there. So I'm going to add my glue to this and put it right on top of the pocket and just center it. Then we can burnish. All right, so now I've got 2 magnets here. These are 1mm by 12mm, and I just buy mine on Amazon. And I'm going to get a tiny piece of tape like this, and I'm going to put it on the back of one of my magnets and just tuck in any tape. And then I'm also going to put a tiny bit of glue like this. And then I'm going to place it on the back of this little flap, about right there. All right, now I'm going to take a larger piece of tape, and put it across this magnet, upside down, so sticky side up. I'm going to let this one catch, and then you just close it over and then slide it off like we do. If we take it straight up, sometimes the magnet will come with it, so just slide it off until everything's nice and dry. All right, so that is your cute little closure for these two. So let's go ahead and mat this whole section here, okay? So for this little pocket, front pocket here, I'm going to remove the backing of this tape first of all. We are going to have a piece of our pattern paper that measures 2 3/4 by 4, and that's going to go right here. And I have a nice fresh bottle of my beacon glue so we can mat till we drop here. So 2 3/4 by 4. It's going to go right here. If it's directional, be careful how you're placing it. And then this top section here is going to have a craft mat that measures also 2 3/4 by 4. It's not going to go all the way down into the pockets. So just mat it right into that top section here. All right, and then page, and we're going to leave this blank for a photo. So then our next little page with the pockets is going to have a piece of craft at the bottom, and then the pattern paper will be at the top. So again, 2 3/4 by 4 for this. Oops, just got everything going on here. So that's going to go here. And then up here, we'll have a piece of our pattern paper that's 2 3/4 by 4. This pattern paper is so lovely. I just adore it. Just like this. All right, and then again, this is going to be left blank for a photo. And here, we're going to have a piece of pattern paper on the pocket that measures 2 3/4 by 5.5. So 2 3/4 by 5.5. And that's just going to go right here on the top of our pockets. And then for this section here, we're going to have a piece of craft that's 2 3/4 by 5.5. Really simple matting. Just like this. All right, and then close it all up. And you have your beautiful closure there. So I just love the way that that looks. All right, so now we can go ahead and attach our flaps into the book. So before we add any glue or anything, I'm going to show you guys on the 6.5 inch side. Well, they're square, so it's either way, but I'm going to place my flap all the way to the bottom, or just shy of the bottom on our flap here, okay? So you'll have about 3/4 of an inch up here, okay? But that's what we want. We want to attach it all the way to the bottom. So first we need to miter this first 1/2 inch section here. And we'll add our glue. Just like this, and then line it up all the way to the edge and almost all the way to the bottom. Just leave a teensy bit of clearance there. Then we burnish. Then you can stand up your gusset and burnish that, and then that is attached into our book. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat those exact steps and build the flap for this side and attach it in. All right, so I've gone ahead and repeated the whole process and did one for this side. So now the pocket on this side loads from this end, and the pocket on this side loads from this end. And then on the inside, our closure is on this side and our closure is on this side. Okay, so I finished matting the front of this one, so I'll show you how to do that on this side. So for this side section here, you need a piece that's 5.5 by 2.5 of the craft cardstock, or you could just leave yours white as well. That's totally nice too. So that's gonna go right in here. Just like this. You can press your gusset flat to give it a good press down. And then for this section here, you need a piece that's 4.5 by 3 3/4. And add my glue to it. So all of these nice layers really strengthen up your cardstock too, that 65-pound cardstock. That's why I didn't feel it necessary to use anything heavier. And then for this little side section here, you need a piece of your pattern paper that measures 3/8 of an inch wide by 5 5/8 long. And I'm just going to use my art glitter glue for that. Just like this. And you could have attached this before we glued it in. It might have been easier, but it was kind of an afterthought. So now when the book is closed in, it's going to look really cute with those pattern papers there. All right, now let's work on the inside, front, and back of our covers. So I've already done this one here, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it on the other side. So for inside here, under our cover, you need a piece of your black cardstock that measures 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then a piece of the pattern paper that measures 6 by 6. And I'm just going to glue these two together. Just like this. I absolutely love this paper with the cute little mushrooms on it. So stinking sweet. And then the other side as well. So we'll glue this right into our back inside cover. Again, if it's directional, make sure that you're doing it in the correct direction. All right, now we'll put this aside for a second and we'll work on the nice dimensional pockets we're going to have in the inside back. So I'm using craft, and this is 80-pound craft cardstock, and it measures 6 1/4 by 7 3/4. On the 7 3/4 side, you're going to score it half, and then at 3/4 of an inch, flip it in the scoreboard, score it half and 3/4. So you should have a half and a 3/4 mark on both sides of the 7 3/4 side. Then you're going to flip it, so now your 6 1/4 inch is going across the top. You're going to score at 3, flip it in your scoreboard, and score at 3 again, so that'll give you a 1/4 inch gusset. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to cut one entire section out on this side and this side. So that means these two rectangles, this rectangle and this square. I'm going to cut up the score line here. And then when I get to this top square here, I'm going to go just like a 1/16 of an inch past the score line. So you see about how much I did there. Then I'm going to cut right above this score line here, because I want my pocket to have a little bit of space at the bottom, and I'll show you what I mean once we put this together. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So cut right up that score line and just go about a 1/16 of an inch past, and then cut right across the top of this score line here. So if you look at it, that's about how much past the score line that I cut, okay? So now your piece should look like a T. So on this section here, we're going to put a piece of our black cardstock that's 2 3/4 by 6. And then a piece of our pattern paper that's 2 1/2 by 5 3/4. So we're just going to layer these together first. Cute, cute little polka dots. So that's going to go right in here. All right, and you can burnish it down. All right, now we can start folding and scoring our, folding and burnishing our score marks. You could also add the pattern paper and the cardstock after you put it together, but I just find it's a little bit easier before. So just fold and burnish on all of those score marks. Just like this. All right, so it should look like this, and then the back will come up to form the pocket. So the reason why we cut a little bit extra is you just want a little bit of space down here, just so it's not like jammed into itself down here, if that makes sense, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some glue to my little 1/2 inch section here, just the 1/2 inch. And I'm going to line up my little 1/2 inch flap with the top of this back piece. So see, we have that little bit of space right here, just so it's not jammed. And then the same thing on this side. Add the glue. And just line it up, making sure this is flush with this edge, and then you've got that little bit of space there. All right, so we have our little pockets. This one slipped a little bit. Just to fix it up. All right, so now we can go ahead and attach this whole thing into our book. So this is gonna go right at the bottom here, right in line with this black cardstock, and it will cover the black cardstock on both sides as well. So I'm gonna use my beacon glue for this. Get it all the way to the edges. And just attach it in, just like I said, lining it up with that black cardstock on these 3 bottom, or on the side and the bottom. And you can press in the center just to get that glue to go. All right, so that is all attached in and looking super cute. So now we're going to create this little booklet that's going to go in the pocket, and this pocket can hold so much more, but that's what we're going to put in it. So we're going to put this to the side. So what you need for the booklet is first a piece of your craft cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11, and on the 11-inch side you're going to score it at 5 1/2, and then we'll fold and burnish that just like this. All right, then on the inside we are going to place two mats, photo mats, and they measure 4 by 5 1/4. And one's going to go on the top and one is going to go on the bottom, just like this. So let's glue them on. So one will go top and one will go bottom. Just like that. Just so for some nice photo mats inside the little booklet. All right. So now what I did is I cut a black banner and then a pattern paper banner, and I used these two dies, and again these are from that same large banner die set, so it comes with a large one and then a layer one. So I've cut one out of pattern paper and one out of the black cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and layer these two together. Just like this, so they layer together really beautifully, and they both have that gorgeous stitching around them. All right, now you're gonna grab your scoreboard, and I'm gonna put it in the scoreboard, and it's 5 inches. The largest banner is 5 inches, so I'm gonna score this, both my layers, at 2.5. And I'm gonna fold it just like this. All right, now I'm going to take our little booklet, and with the opening at the top, I'm going to glue it so that it goes on here like this, okay? So I'm going to put glue all over this section here. Just like this. Just center it in there as best as you can. So just about like this, and it's going to look cute in the front and the back. All right, now open it up. Now I've got some magnets here. These are again just my 1 by 12 millimeter magnets, and I am going to grab a tiny bit of tape, and I'm going to place it on the back of one of my magnets, just like we did a little bit ago. Make sure all the glue goes on, or all the tape. Do a little dab of glue, and then I'm going to place it about right here on my banner. Then I'm going to grab another piece, put sticky side up on top, let that magnet catch, and then just close this over and press where that tape is and open it up. Then we'll remove the backing. Now we're going to put another mat on here that is 4 by 5 1/4. So just like this, right on here. Just make sure you center it in nicely. And then that will close up, and it kind of does this cute, I don't know what you want to call it, but just like this puffy look to it, and I think it is so adorable. And then this is going to go right inside this pocket here. How stinking cute is that? So we have the same thing, the exact same thing going on the other side. So you can go ahead and finish your other side, and then we'll work on our middle page. All right, so let's work on our one page that's going to be in the middle of our book. So for the actual base page, you need a piece of your cardstock, 65 pounds. That's 6 3/4 by 6 1/4. And on the 6 3/4 side, you're going to score at half and at 1, okay? And then fold and burnish both of those score lines down so it looks like this. So we'll put that to the side for now. So next, you're going to need a piece of your cardstock that measures 4 3/4 by 10 1/2. And on the 10.5-inch side, you're going to score at 5 and at 10. Okay, so you'll have these two sections and then this little 1/2-inch section here. So your 1/2-inch section, you're going to want to fold down like this. And then the other one, the 5-inch, you're going to fold up. Okay, so it should look like this. All right, but it's going to get attached to our page like this with the strip here. So lay it down with your little 1/2-inch strip on this side. And we're going to put a piece of craft cardstock on here. And the craft cardstock measures 4.5 by 4 3/4. And we're just going to glue it right on there. Just like this. All right, so the top of this, we are going to add a pocket. So I used the horizontal pocket die from La La Land Crafts. So I cut it once out of white and then once out of the pattern paper. So it comes with the score lines already there for you. So you can just go ahead and fold and burnish all of those score lines. Super, super easy. It's a ready to go pocket. So that's the little pocket. And then I've cut it again out of the pattern paper. And what I'm going to do is with my scissor, I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch in from the score line on both sides. So it's pretty hard to see. So I cut that flap off and I cut about 1/8 of an inch in from the score line. And then the same thing at the bottom, except I'm going to cut about 1/4 inch up from the score line. So I'm just cutting it off so that I'm able to layer it onto the pocket to look just like this, okay? So that you don't have to fiddle with how to get a layer on there. And I'm going to glue it right onto my pockets. So see, we have that nice white border all the way around. All right, now this is going to get glued on top of here, just like this. I'm going to use my art glitter glue to glue it on. All the way. And I'm just going to center it in the bottom of my flap so I have an even amount of my craft cardstock showing on these 3 sides. How cute is this? Then we can burnish it on. All right, now I'm going to take this whole flap and attach it to my page. So my page hinges are on this side and I'm going to attach this flap to this side here, okay? So I'm just going to put glue on these hinges, or just this hinge. This one just has one. And just center it in top and bottom here on the side that doesn't have our hinges. And then burnish. All right, now we can open this up, and on here I have a piece of pattern paper that measures 5.5 by 6, and it's just gonna go right here like this. So 5.5 by 6. And it'll go right here. This paper all goes really, really very nice together. All right, then I'm going to do a black piece here that measures 5 by 5.5, and then a white mat that measures 4 3/4 by 5 1/4. It's gonna go right here, so I'll put my white mat onto the black first. Just like this. So make sure they mat together nicely with that even black border all the way around. And then I'm going to glue that right on to my page. So we have a really nice spot for a focal photo. So it should be even pattern paper all the way around for you. All right, and then that's going to close down. And how beautiful does that look with all the patterns? All right, so let's work on the back of the page. All right, so for the back of the page, we're going to have a stacked belly band. So first you're going to need a piece of your white cardstock that's 3 by 7 1/4, and on the 7 1/4 side, I scored it at 1/2 inch, flipped it in my scoreboard and scored it at 1/2 inch. And we can go ahead and fold and burnish our score lines, of course, from the top as well, because that makes it so much easier. And then we have another belly band piece that's 1 1/2 by 7 1/4, and I did the same thing. I scored it 1/2 inch on the 7 1/4 side, flipped it and scored it again at 1/2 inch. So that is going to get glued directly on top of this one. So I'm going to get my glue on this little 1/2 inch flap, and I'm going to place it in the center. So you should have about 3/4 inch on both sides if you're wanting to center it. And then this one will go down here. Right, and then for the top of this skinnier belly band, we have a piece of our pattern paper that measures 1 1/4 by 6. And I'm just going to use my beacon glue to glue it on here, just like this. All right, and then for under here, for the larger belly band, you need a piece of your pattern paper that's 2 3/4 by 6. And we're just gonna slide that right under, just like this. Looks so stinking cute. All right, now we can glue our double belly band, our stacked belly band, right onto the center of this page here. So just start with the one, just the top one for now. So just do your best to center it, or you could off center it too. That's totally an option. And so now we've got the double belly band glued onto our page. All right, for under here, for behind the larger belly band, you need a piece of pattern paper that's 5 1/2 by 6. And we're just gonna slide it right under there. Just like this. Make sure that it's centered so you have an even white border on the 4 sides. All right then, so for behind the larger belly band, I have a piece of craft cardstock that's 5 by 11. And on the 11 inch side, I just scored it at 5 1/2. And then I have a piece of my white that's 4 3/4 by 5 1/4, and it's gonna go on the front. And you can most certainly mat the inside of yours as well, but I'm going to be putting photos in there, so I'm not going to worry about matting the inside. So that is going to go, this whole folded thing is going to go behind the larger belly band. And then for the smaller belly band, I have a piece of the white. Sorry, I have a piece of the craft that's 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then I have a piece of the white that's 3 by 4. And they're just going to get glued together just like this. And that's going to go behind the smaller belly band. And of course, like with everything else, you can add as many little things in there as you want, but I like the way that looks. All right, so our page is done and ready to put in the book. But first we have to cover our spine. So I'm going to open these two so I have a little bit more room. So our spine piece measures 1 1/4 by 6 1/4, and I'm just going to put it right in the center to cover the spine. Just like this. Get that excess glue off of there. All right, so just like that. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line it up. Line the 0 up with this side of my spine. And I'm going to make a mark at 3/4 of an inch. So about right here. And I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom, because 3/4 is half of, it's half of 1 1/2, and our spine is 1 1/2. And then I'm going to take my page and line up this score line. So my piece is folded down. We're going to have glue on here, and I'm going to line up this score line, the first score line, with those 2 marks, okay? So you can get some glue on your little flap, your little 1/2 inch. So the first 1/2 inch section, not the second one, that is our gusset. So line it up with the paper that we just put down to cover the spine and those 2 tick marks, okay? That'll make sure that it's perfectly centered for you. Just like this. All right, so now our cute little page is attached into the book. And because we have that nice 1/2 inch little relief there, that little 1/2 inch gusset, it lays nice and flat over the back half of our book. So it'll lay flat going both directions. All right, so now we need to work on our cover and a little bit more embellishing. All right, now let's play with some things here that I've die cut or stamped and colored and cut out, and just see what we want to use for our cover, and then maybe some elements for the book. So I have some distress inks here. So these are all distress oxides. I have ground espresso, crushed olive, and spiced marmalade. But you could use whatever combination of inks that you want. And I just have, this is just a paper pack with the plastic on it, and I'm just going to ink on the spiced marmalade, and I'm going to use the pumpkin die. So it's this die here, and it comes with the cute little top of the pumpkin. So with my spiced marmalade, I'm going to come down from the top of the pumpkin, just like this. All right, and then I'm going to clean my brush off, and I'm going to go with crushed olive, and I'm going to tap it in there, and I'm going to come from the bottom. I think this is probably the first time I've ever used crushed olive. All right, now I'm going to switch back to spiced marmalade. Just like this. So that's really pretty. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ground espresso. And I'm just going to do a tiny bit at the bottom, just to give it some definition, like You know, it's been sitting in the dirt. Just like this. How pretty is that? Absolutely love that. All right, and then I die cut the top of it. I already die cut it out of green cardstock. It's like an olivey green cardstock. And I'm gonna use my art glitter glue to attach it on the top. So I'm just gonna put glue just on these parts here, the bottom. And I'm gonna place it right on the top of my little pumpkin. How stinking pretty is that? All right, I'm gonna do another pumpkin the same way. All right, so both the pumpkins are done. Now I'm gonna move on to these leaves. So these leaves are from the Autumn Things die set. So it comes with these two leaves, and then it also comes with an acorn die. And then the acorn die has a top as well. I did cut them all out of pattern paper too. I don't know if I'm going to use those anywhere. But what I'm going to do with the leaves is I'm going to kind of ink one side in the crushed olive like this. And then the other side I'm going to do with the spiced marmalade. Like this. And then what I want to do is kind of take, and they're kind of perforated in the middle, so I kind of want to fold them there like this, and then use the ground espresso in the middle like this, and then we can blend that out a tiny bit. So that kind of looks like an authentic fall leaf to me. I have lots of reference points right now because we have fall leaves all around us here in Alberta. So super, super pretty. And then for the acorn, I'm actually just going to do the top of it brown. So I'm going to do the top with the ground espresso and leave it at that. And then I'm going to do the bottom of it with the crushed olive. All right, so that is all of our little pieces that we need to color in. So we're good and inky now. We can move on. Just close up your inks. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to put all of our pieces that we just did, and I'm going to put them on just like a little piece of paper here, and then make sure nothing is too close. And then I've just got literally some water in a cup here, and I'm going to put my fingers in the water, and I'm just going to kind of spritz these with my fingers. Or if you have a little spritzing tool, that'll work too. And then I've got some paper towel, and I'm just going to take and dab off that water. And it's gonna give it this really cool look. So how cool does that look? I just love what this does to it. All right, now we're gonna let all of these elements dry, and then we'll put our cover together. So I've also, from the Give Thanks stamp set, I used my Copic markers and I colored both of these cute little turkeys that come with the stamp set. And then I also colored the little sign and the pumpkin. And what's really cool is that it has the little turkey arms on there. So you can make it look like they're holding the sign and the pumpkin. So I really, really like that. So these two and this guy are going to be for the front. And then this little turkey we're going to put on the inside somewhere, probably, you know, with a pumpkin or something like that. All right, let's go ahead and start building our cover. So we are first going to need a piece of black cardstock that's 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. Then we're going to need a piece of our pattern paper that's 6 by 6. And we're just going to glue these two together, just like this. All right, then we need a piece of our black cardstock that's 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and a piece of our pattern paper that is 5 by 5. And we're just going to attach these two together here. All right, now this one's going to get glued down. Just like this, right in the center. All right, so then we have another piece of black that's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then a piece of the pattern paper that's 4 by 4. And that's gonna go right together like this. All right, before we glue this on, I have this stitched pennant die, and it's this one right here, and I'll be sure to link all the dies below. This is the largest of them, and I'm going to glue that right in this corner here, aligned with the whole corner. So it's basically the exact same size as our 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 layer. All right, and then this one I want to pop up on here. So I've got my foam tape. And I'm just going to put a little bit in each corner. And one in the middle. And then remove these backings. Just like this. And just center it in here. All right, so next I have 2 circles, one black and one white. The white one I cut with the double stitched circles die, and the black one is with just the stitched circles. So they do layer together really, really nicely. And I'm going to pop the white one up on top of the black one. Just like this. And then I'm also going to pop the black one up. Just like this. So it has some nice dimension to it. All right, now I have two of the dies from the stitched pennants, and I've cut one from pattern paper and one from craft cardstock. And I'm just going to glue that about right here, but I do need to put some foam tape on this edge, but the rest will glue flat. Just put a little bit of your glue on this edge. And just kind of slide it under, but I want it aligned with the top of the pattern paper, just like this. It's gonna go under. All right, now for the circle, I'm gonna use this cute turkey here. He's gonna go on here, but I'm gonna put the give thanks in this hand, and then I'm gonna put the little pumpkin in this hand. So I'm just gonna glue these onto him. All right, just like this. So this one's gonna go in this hand, and then the other one will go on his other hand here. And I just love how that looks like he's holding these. That's so stinking cute. All right, now we're gonna pop that up. So I'm gonna put one strip across there, and then just two little ones top and bottom. This is already looking super, super cute. So that's gonna go right in the center of this circle. And then I'm gonna use one pattern paper leaf and one watercolored leaf from the Autumn Things dies that we already cut together, and one's gonna go kind of here, and then one is gonna go down here just to finish off our cute cover. So make sure you bend them and play with them a little bit so they have some movement. And I'm going to glue them together first, kind of how I want them. Then I'll stick them under the circle. So about like this, and you can still play with them once they're down. So same thing here, glue them together first. Then under the circle. Just like this. All right. All right, now let's go ahead and finish up the cover. So we are going to have a seam binding closure. So I've got some cute seam binding here. You could use ribbon, anything you want would work. And I'm just gonna grab some tape. So just a little bit of tape, and make sure your book is in the right orientation. And I'm gonna put my tape about in the center here. And I'll remove the backing, tuck in any extra tape, and then just place your seam binding on top of the tape. This is basically just to secure it in place till we glue the cover on. Then flip it to the back and decide how much seam binding you want. I always like bigger bows so that I can easily open and close my books and not be too stressed about it. So I'm using, I would say, about 24 inches here. And just kind of bring that seam binding up from the front so you can see where to put your tape. And then we'll remove the backing and just tack it in place here, just like this. All right, now while we're on the back, we can go ahead and put the panel on for the back. So I have a piece of black cardstock that's 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then my pattern paper is 6 by 6. And I'm just gonna glue all of that to the back. Just like this. If it's directional, make sure you're doing it in the proper direction and that it's straight. And then for the spine, I have a piece of black cardstock that's 1 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then my pattern paper is 1 by 6. And we're just gonna glue that onto the spine. Just like this. So center it really nicely onto your spine. All right, then we can bring it back to the front and we'll glue our whole front panel on that we just created together. Just like this. And the beacon glue will also hold the fabric of the ribbon really nicely. So that's just going to get glued right to the center of the front, and then you can open it up and kind of press from the back. Make sure it's really nice and adhered on there. Just get those edges. All right, now let's cut this apart and make our cute little bow for the closure. I like this color for the fall album. All right, so that is the book all covered. Now I'm just going to put some inserts on the pockets on the inside and we'll talk about that. All right, so let's talk about our inserts in the album inside. So on these two pockets here, so this one and then the other one on the side that's the same on this side, we have a black mat that's 5 1/4 by 5 3/4 and a white mat that's 5 by 5 1/2, and you're just going to layer those together and place them in the pockets. And then for these pockets, so this little pocket here, this pocket, and these two pockets, I've used the large stitched tags die just as my photo mats. I think it works perfectly. So I have one in here, and then I have one of the smaller ones in here, and then one in here, and then all of our little pockets on the inside has that as well. And then for the inside back in here, so once we, it's so long, it's hard to show. Once we open it up here, we have this pocket back here, and this one has a black that is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then a white that's 5 by 5. Okay, and that is going to go there. So let's talk about embellishing on the inside a little bit more. So for that, I want to use our two pumpkins that we created, and I want to put one over here on this pocket, kind of hanging off the side here. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue for that. And I'm only going to put glue on this section. I'm going to leave these two kind of sections without glue because I want it to be hanging off a little bit. So this is going to go about here. And I love how that looks kind of going onto that white. Super, super cute. And then the other one I want to put on this pocket over here. So right about here, just like this. And again, I'm just gonna do about half or even less of our pumpkin, and so that it can be hanging off the edge here. All right, and then right here on this little pocket, I want to put the cute little turkey. So this is the other turkey from the Give Thanks set, and I've just die cut another little stitched circle, and I'm gonna put it kind of in the center of my pocket, but don't put glue more towards the top because you don't want to glue your pocket shut. So I'm going to put it about right there, and then I'm going to put my little turkey on here, and I'm just going to put him flat because we don't want to put too much dimension inside the book. So he's going to go right on there. Super, super cute. All right, and then that is it. That is all I'm gonna do to the inside of our cute little, I guess, Thanksgiving folio. So it is Thanksgiving in Canada this weekend. So to all of my Canadian friends, happy Thanksgiving. And thank you guys, everyone near and far, for joining me for this tutorial today. I'm thankful for every single one of you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.